Satnam, this is Sundri Kaur. Today I would like to share with you some insights on how to make the most of the energy of this new moon in Libra that is produced on the 19th October 2017. The goddess we are going to use to understand the energy and to learn how to formulate our purpose or our intentions for our development for the coming 6 months is Saraswati. Saraswati is representing all the wisdom of number 5. Number 5 has to do with the physical body, with communication, with the power to sacrifice that leads to transformation, with marriage, with bridges, with paradox, with being the teacher, learning to teach and teaching to learn, and all what has to do with changes and foreign countries, foreign lands, and so on. So the first paradox, and here we start with one of the words of number 5, is that this new moon happens when we have the sun that represents our will, our consciousness, our energy, in conjunction with the moon that represents our need, our subconscious mind. That means that we, each of us as a whole, as a complete female, is presented in Libra. Libra is about number 10, it's about relationship, it's about finding a balance, it's about wanting to relate with the other, wanting to communicate, second word related with number 5. Communication. And to the paradoxical aspect is that the moon and the sun are in an opposition with Uranus and Aries in Aries. Uranus has a lot to do with unexpected explosions, with all of a sudden I say this that I had not thought of saying it before. And Aries is like the sister of Mars. So she's very much like a warrior. She has this energy of fighting, and she has also to do a lot with the female energy to reaffirm oneself in the world. But she can be very chaotic. So the paradox in here is that all your energy, conscious and unconscious, will be settled in establishing communication, establishing bridges and communicating with the others, and especially in relationships where there's a structure, like in marriage or at work, where there's a pattern, where there are laws and there's a structure how we relate with the others. Particularly in those relationships, there would be a tendency for these surprises that Uranus brings with the presence of Aries that would lead to not really the opposite of harmony, really misunderstandings and tensions and trouble that eventually could even break the relationship. And that's really the warning for this new moon. You know that the new moon is the moment in which we sit down and meditate and decide what do we want to accomplish in the coming 6 months using the energy of this new moon. The energy of the new moon is ideal for investing in self-knowledge. And because we are going to have, in the moment, we're going to have Mercury and Jupiter in Scorpio, Pluto, Aries, Pisces, they all have a lot to do with number 2, with Persephone. Here I'm talking about goddesses that I have deeply explained in my work, in the cycle of the goddess that you are, where I explained 11 female psychological aspects we have according to our 11 moon points, using the image of 11 goddesses of the international mythology, because all these are aspects that are in the common subconscious. And this is really much what has to do with the Scorpio. So what I'm saying is that in the coming year is the ideal moment really to start working on yourself using either this methodology that I've completely developed for yourself for this particular purpose, or any other that you may like, astrology, coaching, whatever. But what I mean is that this new moon is really an ideal moment to set your intention for your personal growth in understanding yourself. And so I really suggest you to use a tool like this that is really structured, ruled, so that, as I am a woman and I am a specialist on Kundalini Yoga for women, I've been working and researching, and so I propose really little tips and little aspects that may help you to understand bit by bit, moon by moon, a little bit better who you are, using these images, using these short stories, these myths, so that you can get to understand yourself using all the tools that I have in here, that are including coaching, that are including astrology, that are including Kundalini Yoga, mainly using Kundalini Yoga as a tool to overcome the things that you may see about yourself once you realize that they are present in your life. So this is my invitation for your intentions of growth in this new moon for these 6 coming months, and also just letting you know that the presence of Jupiter in Scorpio is really setting a very, very ideal moment in the coming year, starting from the 10th October this year until November 2018, for you to work on yourself. So I highly recommend my own book. It may sound a bit weird that I recommend my own book, but it is so, because this is exactly the kind of work that I was thinking of when I wrote it. Anyway, what I wanted to tell you is that right after the new moon, if you were not aware of this energy that may lead to break or to really collisions in the relationships, and even to spoil some aspect of the relationship that can lead to a new beginning, that's the positive aspect of it. The warning, on the one hand, the warning is that if this clash happens in a relationship that has this structure where either it's a work relationship or a marriage or things of the sort, and when you cross that border, then it could be that something breaks definitely. It could break for good, but perhaps you regret it afterwards. The good news is that right after the new moon, we will still have Mercury with Jupiter in Scorpio. That means that you will get to understand deeply what were the reasons within you that lead to that. So you will make a huge progress in understanding yourself, learning about yourself, and that way you become the master, you become the one who learns by teaching and teaches by learning. The other point is that as we are searching and looking for this balance, and if the relationship is not balanced in terms of power, I mean, for example, if you fight with your boss, it may be that in the end, to regain the balance, that you make a sacrifice of yourself, that you sacrifice something that you cannot sacrifice just to regain this balance, to save the relationship. So I wanted to warn you about this particular point so that you are conscious before you open your mouth, even when you are with the best of intentions, wanting to befriend and to just relate with whoever, your boss, your partner, your colleague at work, your best friend, whoever. In all these structured relationships, it could be that even when you just started to speak because you wanted to start this bridge to get closer with the other one, this energy of Aries and Uranus that is reinforced by the opposition of Saturn. That means that Saturn is bringing reasons and laws and structure to all this explosion that Uranus is putting into the relationship. It could be that in the end, what I said, that in the moment you sacrifice something that is really, really important for you. I got lost in the last bit. What I mean is that two things. It could be that if you're not aware, that you spoil that relationship. So even if you want to speak with the best of intentions to befriend somebody, to befriend with your boss, whatever, be very careful, because the moment you start speaking, the other one is going to give you a reality check. The other one is going to explain you what his reasons are, how he sees things, how she, whatever. And once this is said, you cannot ignore it. And the other one is also having this Uranus and having this Aries. So you are not going to want to see the reality as the other one sees it. But there comes your consciousness. What are you going to do with it? How are you going to save the situation? Are you going to save the situation? Because you can spoil it completely if you want, and eventually this may lead to good things. But I just want you to be aware of that this energy is there, present. And the second point is, right before this moon, right before you are to sit down and write down your intentions for self-growth, self-exploring, and all that I've told you about the book, or whatever other method you want to use, you may be very frustrated because of this Saturn opposing the North Node and Uranus. And also because in the days before the new moon, Venus and Mars, that have to do with desire and action, would have wanted, you may have felt this desire to meet, even physically. And because of this opposition, of this aspect of Saturn, there is this, you cannot. So there's a lot of frustration. So if you are vibrating this frustration, this self-sacrifice, it could be that when you sit down to write your intentions, and this is what is going to determine how the energy available for you in the coming 6 months is, and where your focus is, if you are vibrating all that, it could be that instead of visualizing yourself and creating the highest vision about your life, that this is what you have to do in this new moon for the coming 6 months, that you sit down and you vibrate limit, and you vibrate frustration, and you vibrate self-sacrifice. And this is all number 5, but it's the dark side of number 5. So I invite yourself to really take time for yourself before the new moon, before the 19th October. Nurture yourself, set boundaries, so don't allow anyone to mistreat you in any way. Even yourself, because often the roughest words we say to ourselves. And be nice to yourself so that you come to this new moon conscious of the exploding energy and the frustration and the limits and all these surprising limitations that you may experience when wanting to relate, but that you really make the most of whatever in the end happens, and take it as a lesson, something that is teaching yourself, about how relationships work, and that if you happen to explode and say the things that you were not thinking of saying, that you think of that as a reality check and as a reset for the relationship. Often what we think were mistakes leads to better options for us, frees us, and this is what Uranus is about, freeing ourselves from a structure, a pattern, something that is not any longer working for us. It may be that you suffer for a while because Uranus is still retrograding, but the moment Uranus starts working forward, you will really understand and you will see how this worked for you. But here you have the information, and information is power, so that you can be the best version of yourself, that you can be the goddess that you already are. Satnam.